Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leader in rushing, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. So obviously not a victory Monday, man. What a wild just a series of events in Denver yesterday, man. You go from a first half big lead. Offense could not have played any better in the first half, right? Defense seemed to be clamped down pretty good. You looked like you were in the driver's seat. You were in a good spot to win that ball game in Denver. And then, man, oh man, did the injuries hit. And there comes a point in a game and a season two, although I don't think we're quite there yet. We'll talk about that a little later in the day. There comes a point where you go, man, how much can you overcome, right? And obviously there's a series or a number of players on this team that's banged up, and we're still awaiting information on everyone. However, I feel like we got good news, actually great news on Christian Watson. From obviously the chest injury where he had to be taken to the hospital yesterday. Always a scary thing when you think about them having to potentially spend the night in the hospital. Thank goodness he was cleared and was able to travel with the team to the best of my knowledge. You guys do your own research there. But I think we've got great news there. We're going to give you an update on Christian Watson here on this episode. Just want to kind of attack each of these one player at a time. All right. Obviously, you got Christian Watson information that just came out. You've got Zach Tom. Hopefully we'll have information on him. We're probably, unfortunately, looking for confirmation on what we all suspect happened to Micah Parsons. We'll get that info out to everybody. Jaden Reed also left on that last drive, banged up. There's just a number of, obviously, injuries that we're going to try to give you guys in rapid fire today as the news breaks. But again, this episode about Christian Watson. So we're going to give you all the information we have up to the minute on Watson and when he might potentially return. We'll also dive into a little bit of an article from Wendell Ferreira, which he kind of breaks down some of the details, does an awesome job there. You guys make sure you go check that out as well. Then we'll kind of dive into the wide receiver room and talk about what this means. If Watson has to miss a game or two, right? How is the wide receiver room playing? I don't look at this wide receiver room without Watson and go, oh no, we're doomed. Watson's a great player. But the wide receiver room's playing pretty darn well too. So again, it's more about the injury front on the offensive line that concerns me a little bit more. But again, we'll dive into that a little bit later in the day. Before we get into everything here, if you would do that YouTube stuff for me, hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your morning. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you, talking Packers on a daily basis. So if you look for that type of content, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the future. So let's dive into it. First of all, we got my co-host over here with us. I apologize if it gets loud here in a minute. We're pup sitting this morning or this afternoon, I should say, as the wife's out running around. So if they bark, I apologize in advance. If you watch this show on a regular basis, you know we're not too professional here, right? So it is what it is. So that's Lincoln. Link, say hi to everybody. Hey, you awake? There he is. He's like, man, shut up, dude. I'm trying to nap. Let's get into it. Christian Watson info. All right. Here, he's already over it. So Ian Rappaport put a tweet out a couple hours ago. Packers standout wide receiver Christian Watson, who went down yesterday holding his shoulder, did not suffer a major injury, sources say. So positive injury news on a bad day. One of Green Bay's most explosive weapons. The offense thrives while he's out on the field, an essential piece. I completely agree with everything that Ian said. In no way, shape, or form am I trying to pretend like this is not an important injury if Watson can't play Saturday against the Bears, or if he misses a game after that. However, I just want to point out some of the positives in the wide receiver room, one being Matthew Golden. We'll talk about how he performed yesterday as well. But as we dive a little bit deeper into this, I want to give a shout out to Wendell Ferreira over on X. Make sure you guys, if you go to my Twitter account, some of you are already on my Twitter account right now, you'll notice I quote tweeted his tweet that had his article in it. You guys go check it out. It's a really good read. I'm going to skip ahead to the Watson piece here. It says Watson should be back soon. It's unclear if Christian Watson will be able to play as soon as Saturday when the Packers face the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. However, his presence down the stretch is key for the offense and now how opposing defenses try to affect it. On Sunday, the Packers scored 23 points with Watson on the field and only 3 after he left the game. And listen, I know there's a lot of conversation about that deep shot throw. I can't stand it when a fan base, whether it's fans or or pundits or whatever, they try to point the finger at each other. They try to point the finger at this guy. It's his fault. You've got a portion of the fan base who are arguing with Christian Watson's father on X. I'm not trying to condone any comments he made. I don't know him personally. He doesn't know me personally. Why would I care what he says, what he thinks, right? I'm not going on X to argue with people. I'm going on X to get information and kind of and create these football friendships and talk ball throughout the season. So you've got some people that are blaming Jordan Love for underthrowing the ball. That's why Christian Watson got hurt. You got some people who are blaming Christian Watson because he didn't have elite body control and didn't position himself to make the catch. You got some people blaming Matt LaFleur for throwing a bomb right there. And what's wild to me is I wish the portion of the fan base that says that Matt LaFleur is too conservative could meet the portion of the fan base that says he's too aggressive, because they both exist, right? And honestly, when you talk about these three different factors, right, there's another argument to be made that Jordan couldn't completely step into the throw. You've seen him; he kind of a short step, tried to get as much on it as he could, got smacked in the mouth. Right? So there's some fans that are blaming the offensive line for Christian Watson getting hurt because the ball was underthrown, but Christian Watson or Jordan Love couldn't step into the throw, so Christian Watson, had to backtrack to the ball. Listen, why try to blame one person? Here's the way I see it. You want to know my take? Let me give you my take, and we'll continue on with the article. My take is this. The offensive line could have protected better on that play. Jordan Love could have thrown a better ball on that play. Christian Watson could have played the ball better on that play. All three of those things, to me, are true. So why are we trying to pin it on one specific person? Matt LaFleur, you guys know I am the most boring Packer fan on the face of the earth. You know this, right? I'm as a conservative of a Packer fan as you're going to find. In that situation with the 2-score lead, I kind of feel like, hey, man, let's try to continue to establish the run. However, the drive, I think it was the drive before, if I remember correctly, we really extended the middle 8 to 17-7 in Green Bay's favor by taking a deep shot that I kind of disagreed with. We came on a first down, threw the ball, and then I think it was that same series that we threw another ball, a deep ball, and bang, you hit on it, right? And next thing you know, you're going up huge there, and you're winning the middle 8, 17-7. Now, you lose the turnover differential by the end of the game, and that kind of makes everything a push. You end up losing 34-26 on the road against arguably the best team in the National Football League. That's the thing that's going unnoticed here with all the injuries and everything else. You took what many people consider the best team in the National Football League, especially after the Patriots got their butts kicked by Buffalo yesterday, with Buffalo roaring back from down by 21 or whatever, right? Some people think that the Denver Broncos are the best team in the league. And you lost by 8 points after losing how many starting players in this game? Emmanuel Wilson was battling an illness. Don't get me started on that, fans going after Emmanuel Wilson. Jeez, oh Pete, what are we doing, people? My man suited it up for his teammates out there battling sickness. You could tell he wasn't himself, but he was out there on that field trying to make something happen. And we got fans going at him like, so frustrating. I got to stop mentioning that portion of the fan base because they're not the majority. We know that they're the loud minority. Every time something goes wrong for the Packers, they were quiet. Boy, it was silent the last 4 games, right? Because the Packers are winning. Second, you lose by 8 points on the road to arguably the best team in the league, battling through a bunch of injuries. Now, all of a sudden, they're back to their, it is what it is. So I just want to make my point clear here, or my opinion clear. And I'm not saying I'm right and anybody else is wrong. I think there's enough blame to go around on how that game unfolded. I'm still damn proud of this team, though, for trying to fight through all that adversity, the emotional adversity that comes with all these injuries as well. So, again, I think this is great news for me and Rappaport. Now, will Watson be back this week? I don't know. Like Wendell Ferrer said here in the article, you know what I'm leaning towards? And you guys tell me if I'm wrong in the chat here. We laid out the playoff picture last night. The Packers can actually lose the next 3 games. And the way the schedule falls in the NFC, the Packers could lose the next 2 games and still be in the number 7 seed, and they win in week 18 and they make the playoffs as the 7th seed. Do I want that? No, I want to win the North. I want a first round. I want everything to go. I want the Packers to be the number 1 seed. However, when you look at the injuries and how you got to play this thing out as you try to stabilize this team getting ready for the playoffs, right? To me, it kind of makes sense that if there's any doubt at all, hold Watson out. It's going to suck if you lose to the Bears, right? But at the same time, it's like, what's more important? Trying to force everybody on the field and re-aggravating injuries before the playoffs just so you can say we swept the Bears? Or you know what? You play who's healthy. You play it somewhat conservative. You get healthy for the Ravens. You stay healthy for the Vikings. And then you try to create some momentum those last 2 weeks going into the playoffs. I wish we could have everybody on the field against the Bears, sweep them to shut that fan base up, right? Don't get me wrong. But that's kind of how I'm looking. I want to know in the chat, in the comments, let me know, do you agree with that take or not? I'm probably in the minority there, but again, I'm a boring fan, right? Like we always say. So he goes on to say, Packers depth at wide receiver. With a healthy Christian Watson, the Packers wide receiver room will be almost fully healthy. The only absence has been rookie third-round pick Savion Williams, who's recovering from the foot injury. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, and Dontavion Wicks are all healthy. And converted cornerback Bo Melton has frequently played wide receiver snaps as well. We seen him yesterday, right? When Jay Reed left the field, if I remember correctly, on that final drive. Since Watson returned from the ACL injury he suffered in Week 18 last season, he's been one of the most prolific and efficient wide receivers in football. He's had 28 catches for 481 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. Life won't be easy without Micah Parsons, and right tackle Zach Tom might also miss some time. But having a healthy Christian Watson in the mix is key to give Green Bay a fighter's chance down the stretch. Second-round pick back in 2022, Christian Watson signed a 1-year extension with the Packers in the offseason for $11 million. Now he's under contract through 2026. So just a little update on that. And again, shout out to Wendell Ferreira. You guys go check that article out. Now let's talk about what this means. You see Lincoln is fired up over this segment here, right? Let's talk about what this means for other receivers, and specifically Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden yesterday, again, we've talked all year long that Matthew Golden, when I see him on the field, I don't see a receiver that's not good. I don't see a receiver that's not worthy of a first-round pick. I don't see a receiver that's dragging our offense down at all. He might have the best hands on the team. He's got blazing speed. He obviously isn't the freak that Christian Watson is. He doesn't have the size. He's got great hands. He's very twitched up. He's a good route runner. And this is a guy that's probably going to fill in at speed Z if Watson isn't fully healthy. So with that being said, if Jaden Reed is healthy, Jaden Reed would be your F. You'd have Matthew Golden playing your speed Z, and Dobby will be your X, mixing in, sprinkling in a little bit of Dontavion Wicks as well. And of course, Bo Melton when you need an extra F there, right? An extra F receiver in the offense. But the point is, in this game against the Broncos, look at what our boy Matthew Golden did. He's got his second highest graded game of the year. So his highest coming in week 6, all right, against the Cincinnati Bengals, where he scored a 90.4 according to PFF. Yesterday in Denver, an 82.1. So on the season, you've got 61, 52, 60, 62, 63, 90, 67, 52, 53, 70, 56, 82. So his PFF grade on the year is a 69.7. Again, PFF isn't everything. It's just a quick little, hey, pop up the website, let's see what they're seeing, and then let's check it over on the tape. But with Matthew Golden, again, 3 targets yesterday, 3 catches. He was a factor in the game, right? Ended up with 55 yards. So I think what you've got there is a sure-handed receiver. He's going to make those tough catches over the middle when you need him to. He's also a guy that can stretch the field, although we haven't seen it much this year. We've seen a couple of shot plays to him that have been in double coverage. I remember one where he's laying out, kind of making a dive and a catch, hits him in the hands, almost makes a great catch. Yesterday, I thought he made some clutch catches in a tough environment on the road in Denver. So the point is, Matthew Golden would step in that speed Z spot if you needed to hold Watson out for a game. Now, Wendell Ferreira's article, I don't want to put words in his mouth. You guys go ask him on X. It kind of feels like with Christian Watson, he may be good to go Saturday. I don't know, man. I hope Wendell's right. And he has way more information than I do, I'm sure. Again, I'm just kind of repeating what he's saying here. But for me, what it comes down to with Christian Watson, if he's not fully healthy, let's move forward with the rest of the crew. And you know what? If you lose in Chicago, it's not the end of the world. You reset, get ready for Baltimore, get everybody healthy, start creating that momentum again, and try to go on a playoff run. I know there's a portion of the fan base that will say, oh, my God, Clay, you are living in fairy tale land. I would love it if we had tweets from you back in 2010. Now, am I saying it's not going to be an uphill battle? Absolutely not. I remember in 2010 when all of the injuries started piling up. I remember sitting back and going, man, this is too much to overcome. It really is. Now, that would have been like Micah Parsons level player. And again, I'm not saying that Clay Matthews is as good as Micah Parsons. We all know that's probably not the case, right? Some people might agree to disagree with us there, but Imagine if we lost Clay Matthews down the stretch, that would be a lot tougher, right? Made a huge play in the Super Bowl. He was dominant throughout the playoffs. He's just one of those, great, edge rushers and played with a lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm. He could drop into coverage if you want to run a fire zone blitz as well, but really got after the ball carrier and the quarterback, much like Micah. Micah's on a whole different level. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, we lost Clay Matthews in that Super Bowl run, but you did lose some key parts, right? You lost your starting tight end, who was a big piece of the offense in Jermichael Finley. If I remember correctly, you lost your starting running back in Ryan Grant. You also lost, there was a number of players I remember us going down throughout the course of that season. Hell, Tramon Williams was one of the better cornerbacks on the team, and he was an undrafted free agent, right? At that point in his career, he might have been a couple of years in. You guys check on that for sure. But with that being said, I don't think that that sitting Watson for the game on Saturday is necessarily a bad thing. However, if he's healthy and he can go, hey, that's awesome. That's great news for us, right? So let's look at the wide receiver room from a PFF standpoint. And again, you guys just take this for what it's worth. PFF isn't everything. But here is how the wide receiver room looks right now in terms of grades. Christian Watson grading out at 85.4 on the season. What a dominant year he's having. Second is Jaden Reed, 77.9. I think I'm more interested in Jaden Reed's injury status than just about anyone. If anybody knows any information in the chat, fire it in there. Let us know if you've heard anything on Jaden Reed and his status at the moment. But Jaden Reed, 77.9. Dontavion Wicks, 70.5. I know he had the bad drop yesterday, although the ball was thrown behind. That's another situation. There's people that blame Jordan Love on that interception. There's people that blame Dontavion Wicks on that interception. I blame them both. It was a bad throw, but it hit him in the hands, and he should have caught it, right? Both things can be true. There's no reason to try to pin the blame on one person. Then you got Matthew Golden, 69.7. Romeo Dobbs, Steady Eddie, 67.0. Bo Melton, 63.2. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's a backup cornerback that he spent all offseason training camp kind of working as a corner, and he's had to fill in at wide receiver. Caught that awesome touchdown catch last week. So that's someone who can fill in a little bit there as well. So when I look at these receivers and kind of how that Bears defense plays, to me, it's going to be more about stopping the running attack. And Caleb Williams heated up last week, or this week, I should say, had a great game. You guys know I've been critical of Caleb Williams, but I'm also a person. I'm going to give you my honest take, whether it's good or bad for the Packers. Caleb played a hell of a game yesterday, and that was against a really good Browns defense. Now, the Browns never had a snowball's chance and to win that game because their offense struggled early in the game. And that's a Bears defense that many teams have been able to score on quite a bit. So the point here is, I think personally that the Packers are still in a decent spot when it comes to the rest of this season. Now, will they be a Super Bowl favorite now? No. What's crazy about the tell of two halves that game was yesterday is how if that second half played out the way the first half did, if we don't lose those key players and the Packers somehow will a victory out there in Denver, we're sitting here on Victory Monday right now, and everybody across the league that covers the team, covers the league in general, all the mainstream media, all the Packers Twitter, everybody will be going, I think we're the Super Bowl favorites now. I think we are the Super Bowl favorites. That's what would be being said. Instead, we're looking up going, we're going to be without Micah Parsons, most likely Zach Tom, possibly Christian Watson for a little bit of time. Jaden Reed's banged up, right? Across the board, Nate Hobbs left. Made a great play on a ball, if I remember correctly there. Unfortunately, there was a penalty on the other side. Evan Williams left the game, right? We got to find out about all these little injuries and see if they're going to really pile up in terms of going down a playoff stretch. But we would be sitting here right now talking about the Packers are the Super Bowl favorites to win the whole damn thing, right? That's telling you, man, this league, it's bittersweet. It sucks as a Packer fan this morning, but also as Aaron Rodgers said, there's something romantic. How can you not be romantic about football? Like, there's something about this league that those twists and turns at the drop of a dime is what makes it so great, man. And like Rashawn Gary and Carl Brooks said, Carl Brooks used some explicitives, but he said yesterday, we got to be on our ish is basically what he said without Micah. And here's the big thing that people aren't talking about with Micah, and I'll wrap up with this, is we're pretending like this defense sucked last year. This was a top 5 defense last year. The addition of Micah was like, this is going to really get us over the hump. Now, you guys know my stance going into the season. Statistically speaking, historically speaking, when a first-year DC comes out and has a great year, the next year, they most of the time, not always, but most of the time, take a slight step back. It's not that they're coaching less. It's not that the players don't want it more. It's that the rest of the league has a full season saturation of game tape on how to attack that defense. And now you got to be on your P's and Q's as a DC and every defender on all 11 defenders on the field. When you're on that field, you got to know that these teams are making adjustments to you. So now you got to make a decision. Do we change what we do, knowing they're going to change what they did because it didn't work against our defense dominating in year one of the scheme install? Or do we go ahead and make an adjustment and risk outsmarting ourselves? And that's a fine line, right? So I don't think this defense is all of a sudden going to be horrible. They were bad yesterday, right? I think we would all agree they were bad yesterday. But also, we talked about it leading up through the week, and I had some Packer fans that came at me going, you're giving too much credit to Sean Payton. Sean Payton ain't a great coach. You're full of crap. He had Drew Brees, and he carried him. Sean Payton, guys, is a great head coach. And going into that game, it's why we talked about, man, the fact that the Packers were 2.5 point favorites, then 2 point favorites, and then by the time the game got here, some had it at 1 and 1.5 point favorites. It's like, man, I don't know. This thing seems close. I had us as 3 point favorites, and I'm telling you right now, do you think for a second I would have said we were 3 point favorites if you'd have told me, all right, second half you're going to be without Micah Parsons, without Zach Tom, without Christian Watson? I'd be like, oh boy, we're probably 7 point underdogs here now, right? That's just the way the game goes. So, again, man, it's a tough loss, but I will say this in a sick, twisted way, it was a fun game to watch too. Man, there were some ups and downs. Jordan Love in the first half, my God, was he on a heater? And again, we always talk about there's the different portions of the game. The first quarter, and I didn't invent this. This is Bill Walsh, Bill Belichick, 101 right here. The first quarter of the game breaks down into 3 phases, essentially. 3 segments, I should say, not phases. First quarter, you're gathering information. What are they doing? Did the last 4 game saturation plus 2 head-to-heads, did it match up with what they're calling on offense and defense, or do we need to make an adjustment, right? So the first quarter, you're gathering information. The second and third quarter is about making the adjustment, right, to what you called in the first quarter, making the adjustment and controlling the middle late. So think about that. Let's just take it up to that point. The first 4 minutes of the middle late, which is the last 4 minutes of the second quarter. That's a really, really confusing way of saying it, right? We go in. Do you think our game plan worked in the first half? It did, right? So the game plan Matt LaFleur put together was perfect. All right, bang, this is working. Bang, 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 bang. Great. Okay, cool. Now in the second half, you got to make a decision. Do we adjust anything or do we stick with what we've been doing? We kind of stuck with what we've been doing. We got some one-on-one situations with Christian Watson. You want to take those shot plays, right? And then, of course, the injuries happen. The fourth quarter is the third aspect of the game where it's a standalone game. The fourth quarter, throw everything out the window. What's happened in the last couple of drives, make a quick adjustment, and let's try to finish this game. In some cases, the clock is your opponent. In other cases, it's going to be a shootout. Matt LaFleur kind of looked at it like the clock wasn't his opponent. I think he knew Sean Payton's going to make an adjustment. He's going to make an adjustment, and half has got to kind of hold on for dear life as that adjustment's made. Let's go out and take some shots and be aggressive. That's what Matt LaFleur did. And again, you won the middle late 17-7. The turnover differential is tough because the ball glances off of Dontavion Wicks' hands and obviously gets picked off. It's a great play by the defense. It was a bad throw by Love, bad hands by Wicks, great play by the defense. That's the way I chalked that one up. And then, of course, the deep ball, I would like to have seen Watson fight for the ball a little bit more. But at the same time, the ball was underthrown. It was. And the ball was underthrown because Jordan Love couldn't step into the throw completely. So it is what it is, right? It is what it is. So that's kind of my initial takeaway on the Christian Watson update. I think it's great news. And hopefully we get him back sooner rather than later. We got a couple questions in here. I'm just trying to glance real quick. Tyler in the chat says, what's the diagnosis on Watson? I have not seen a specific diagnosis yet. All we know is what Wendell reported and what Ian Rappaport had tweeted out, that it doesn't seem to be a serious injury. We're good to go. I guess all the I want to say did they say CT scans? I'm obviously not a medical expert here. You can hear it in the accent of my voice, right? But they did some kind of scans and things came back good. So it was great news, right? Now, will he be ready Saturday? That's up in the air. We'll see. And again, my opinion is don't rush it back, man. Don't rush it back for sure. Joseph in the chat is perfect. Joseph says less 5-step drops on the road. I agree with you, Joseph, but there's a good portion of the fan base that disagrees with us, right? They don't want just a 3-step, let that thing rip out. They want us being aggressive and taking shots, right? So, yeah, it is. When it works, you and I love it. When it doesn't, we're going, what are we doing taking 5-step drops, right? So appreciate you, Joseph. Good to see you, man. Yeah, and this right here pretty much sums it up, Tyler. Still go, Pack, go. Amen to that, sir. Amen. Listen, man, we're going to find out a lot about this team. We're going to find out a lot about the depth of this team. I had a Bears fan tweet at me like, yeah, they're running victory laps because Michael Parsons potentially tore his ACL, right? And they're like, yeah, and your cap is screwed for the next, it's for years to come. I had to fact check them. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but we got more cap space in the Chicago Bears this year, next year, and 2027. So they try so hard to prove their ignorance, man. And then on top of that, they're the 10th oldest team this year. We're the youngest team. Like, you really don't know what you're talking about. The Packers cap space, they are right in the middle of the league for the next 2 years in terms of cap space, right? And we're the youngest team in the league. The window is open. You got to get Micah back next year, right? Barring any kind of crazy going on run this year. So, yes, they are, Jay. I won't put it on the screen in case somebody's kid's watching the show, but they are DAs. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So, the big thing that I'm concerned about, it's kind of what Professor Cake says here. If I didn't read the whole comment, but he says that O-line gives Love zero time to throw. The O-line has been a problem all year. The O-line was a problem against Philly going into the playoffs. We caught a lot of heat on this particular program because we went in the offseason going, I feel like offensive line is the biggest need. However, if there's a dominant 3-tech available to you in the first round, take the 3-tech because it is a very, very important position, but make sure we fix this offensive line, right? To Goody's credit, he tried. But to Goody's demise, it hasn't worked, right? He went out and spent a second-round pick on Anthony Belton. Guys, you know me. I try not to dunk on individual players. I try to watch the tape, give you guys my honest assessment from an ignorant fan standpoint. But Anthony Belton is just he looked bad yesterday. Again, I've only watched the game. I watched the TV copy, obviously live, and I've watched the All-22 once. And I came away just going, rough day for Anthony Belton. Rasheed Walker, rough day, right? Zach Tom goes out. Darian Kennard's holding on for dear life against one of the best pass rushes in the game. We got our backup center in Sean Ryan kind of anchoring the offensive line. It's just tough, man. It's tough. The offensive line, to me, is the biggest need. You also went out and got Aaron Banks. I think we'd all agree Aaron Banks hasn't panned out to the level we wanted him to, although it really is just a 1-year contract. So it's not as bad as people make it out to be with that contract. They say $77 million, and it's not the case at all. You can get out after this year if you want to. And you got people like Chuck in here that says, I like Sheed. So, that's just my opinion. I feel like Rasheed Walker is not worthy of top 10 tackle money or even top 32 tackle money, in my opinion. And maybe that's a little harsh. Maybe top 20 tackle money, right? Because they're just so highly paid. I think the plan is probably they let Rasheed Walker walk in free agency. You re-sign Jordan Morgan, or I'm sorry, not re-sign Jordan Morgan. You try Jordan Morgan at left tackle, or you take another couple swings in the draft. Because it's not like, to my prior comment, it's not like Goody is saying, or it's not like I'm saying Goody's bad at drafting offensive linemen. That's not the case at all. Look at the offensive lineman he has drafted. Elton Jenkins was dominant for a while. Well, actually, I don't know if he drafted Elton Jenkins. I think he might have. I could be wrong there. Fact check that. But Zach Tom has been a great offensive lineman. Rasheed Walker, for a 7th-round pick, has been a great offensive lineman. I think we would agree, right? So you got 2 guys there that's a 4th-rounder and a 7th-rounder that have been starters effectively. But the penalties were rough on Rasheed yesterday. And I know that stuff's going to happen on the road. It's always going to happen, especially Denver. We talked about that on the show this week. Like, Denver's one of the toughest places to play. You hear about Seattle, you hear about some of these other loud venues, but Denver's, you always see that camera shaking. You know what I'm talking about? When they switch the camera angles, you can see the camera shaking from the roar of the crowd. That's a strong fan base out there. So, yeah. Me personally, I would like to see, I agree with you. Good to see you in here, Daryl. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Would be nice to see Jordan Morgan play left tackle, at least see, right, what he's got. And again, not necessarily this year. You're already banged up enough. Just kind of roll with what you got. Maybe you are saying this year, Daryl. If that's the case, I got to kind of push back a little bit on that. But I can understand why you feel like that too. Joseph in the chat, exactly, Clayton. Tip your hat to Sheed on the way out. Unbelievable ROI, return on investment for a 7th-rounder. Completely agree. And he's going to get paid somewhere. Somebody will watch the tape and go, hey, yeah, let's overpay a little bit for him. I think they will do that. So, all right. Chuck in the chat, there was a slight "Go Pack Go" chant. I don't know if y'all heard it. I'm sure there was plenty of Packer fans. I almost made the flight out there. Mandy was trying to talk me into it, and I got to be honest with you guys, man. I used to go to at least one game a year, 2 games. Like if they're playing in Tennessee, I'll go grab that one. If they're playing in Charlotte, I can hop over there and go watch it. I try to go to Lambeau once a year. But since I started doing the podcast, I'd much rather do this with you guys, man. This is, I got to be honest with you, man. This is way more enjoyable than going to a live game. I'd rather watch the game on TV, do a pregame show with y'all, hang out with the buddies, right? Talk ball, get ready for the game, eat some good food, watch the game, chart the game, hop into the postgame show. And I'd rather do that than go to ball games live, to be honest with you. Now, if we could all go together, obviously, it'd be a different ball game for sure. So Joseph said he heard the crowd there. Again, we travel good, man. And listen, what we've got to do and what I really want to do on this particular show, this podcast, I really, really want to make sure that we're louder than the fans that are toxic. That's all I want, man. Like, block them, mute them, move on, pretend like they don't exist, and let's be the logical fan base, the logical portion of the fan base where we're talking about what actually happened on the field, what didn't happen, both good and bad, and let's try to come up with a solution and let's try to enjoy the football season together. That's how I would like to attack this thing, rather than let's just pile on with all the negative comments. And you know, the people that are surprised that players' parents are defending their kids, why are we surprised by that, man? Wouldn't you defend your kid? You telling me you go on X and be like, "Hey, my kid, let me tell you, he really dropped the ball. Sorry, Packer fans, my kid's a bum. He sucks." What are we talking about? There's nobody that would do that. I don't believe that that's the case for any Packer, right? That they're a bum. I'm just saying, like, this idea that people are surprised that a parent's defending their child. Like, what are we talking about here, man? What are we talking about? So, anyway, Joseph, of course, going to ruin the great stream we got here. He says a mock draft. LOL. There'll be time for that, right? It's coming too, boys. Let me tell you, it's December 15th. The second that we hoist that Lombardi in February, right? I say that kind of tongue in cheek. I hope it happens. I'm not ruling it out. Tim still got faith. That's what I love about Tim, man. Tim will hold on to hope until there's no hope left. And I love and appreciate that about Tim. It's an uphill battle. That's all I'm going to say. But as soon as the season's over, we will shift gears right into the offseason. But right now, man, we're in the hunt, Joseph. And I know you know that. Man. All right. I think that's it, guys. We went a little longer than I wanted. I want to do a 15-minute episode. We had a bunch of people in here. I really appreciate everybody hanging out. Listen, do me a big favor. Everybody smash the like button. If you're on YouTube, just spin those laces. Should be a football icon unless it switch back to a soccer ball. Lord have mercy. But hit that like button for us. If you're new here, hit sub, click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live. As more injury information drops later in the day, which I expect, we'll go live immediately and get you guys all those updates in real time. So make sure that bell icon's clicked. And also, if you're watching on X, I know we got a bunch of people on X right now. We got 900 people over on X watching. Do me a big favor, guys. We got over 1,000 in the stream here. If you're on X, just hit my X profile real quick. There's a YouTube link. Hop over to the YouTube channel, hit subscribe and click the bell icon, or just hit subscribe. And that way you can hop into the conversation. So all you people that are watching on X, you can't be a part of the you can't see the YouTube comments in here on the live stream. You can only probably see the X comments. So if you're a member on YouTube, obviously, or not even a member, you're just watching on YouTube, you can join the conversation in there. So just wanted to let y'all know. So that's it, guys. Really, really appreciate y'all. Eden Wildy says, thanks for today's good news. Yeah, absolutely, man. Listen, I was happy to share that good news. And again, shout out to Wendell Ferrer for putting that article together and all that good stuff. So hopefully we see Christian out there Saturday. If not, don't rush it back. And you know what? If you split with the Bears, it's kind of feels like that's the way we were going to split with. I thought we would split with the Lions and the Vikings going into the season, right? Just the way the season kind of laid out, going in. And now you swept the Lions. I don't think anybody really had that on their bingo card. We wanted it, right? And then you turn around and you've already beat the Vikings once, although the Vikings are playing much better football now. I still think that if we're not too banged up, if we can get some of these guys back, I think we'll compete real hard against the Vikings there in the final week. So kind of feels like you might split with the Bears just because they're really peaking right now, and we just hit this tough injury mark. But you never know, man. Matt LaFleur, he's still got that chip on his shoulder. I think we're going to get the best of the guys that are available on Saturday night. Saturday night, Soldier Field. It's going to be awesome. Another battle for the NFC North. I will say this. I expect the Bears to be favorites, especially with the loss of Micah and everybody. We're going to be going to that game underdogs. And the Bears fans think they've already got it locked up. They were running victory laps yesterday, making fun of the injuries and this and that. It's so toxic. I mean, you guys know how we fan. If somebody gets hurt, I don't care if it's a player that I despise the most in the league. Let me give you an example. Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, I feel like they're two very dirty players. When they got banged up with injury, we always took the high road. It's like, hey, look, I don't wish injury on anybody, right? Bears fans are clapping and applauding and running victory laps. What if this Packers team, as banged up as they are, went into Soldier Field on national television and somehow beat the Bears, even missing however many starters? I mean, you're talking about we're going to be out like 8 or 9 starters, right? Most likely. What if the Packers did go in there? Wouldn't that be even sweeter than beating them fully healthy? That'd be awesome. You already know where my mind's going. So this week, acknowledge. I'm going to acknowledge all week long, man. Chips are stacked against us. A lot of injuries to overcome. A lot to overcome. But boy, oh boy, if somehow, some way, these Packers figure out a way to beat Chicago on their home turf with the NFC North on the line, they might just get what they deserve. Right? As Kyle says, that's what I'm thinking, Clayton. Let's go. Hey, put her head down. Pray for good news with the injuries. We'll dive into the tape. We'll get you guys chalk talk by tomorrow or Wednesday. Going to be a short week again. We'll flip the script, get right into the Bears game, talk about what they did good last week, got to give us a game plan and all that good stuff. So it's going to be a blast. Make sure you guys are tuned in here moving forward. Appreciate all 1,300 of you here watching. And again, the news, Christian Watson, great news. Doesn't sound like anything major. He should be back sooner rather than later, possibly this Saturday. We should have a little bit better idea on that, on how the medical staff and the coaches are going to play that as we move closer to the game. So everybody do me a favor, hit that like, hit subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the future. Appreciate you, Chester. You're the man. We're out of here. We'll see you guys probably maybe in the next hour if news breaks. So we'll be hanging out around the house with the pups. You can see, got my co-pilot over here. Where's he at? Is he up there? He's not up there right now, is he? There's my guy. He done gave up. He's out cold. All right, guys. We'll see y'all in a little bit. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Go Pack, go.
Here we go.
Bye, guys.